This man has just came out to say that because the Twitter files dropped, he unironically believes that we should cancel all rules, all regulations, all articles in the Constitution so we can just reinstate him as president of the United States once again. Cancel culture has struck again. And no, this time it is not the straight white male. It is the straight white male's greatest creation, the Constitution, that's being canceled now. Man, you can't have anything these days. You can't have anything these days. Donald Trump has been sitting, waiting, pondering on his own platform, Truth Social. This is actually one of the first times I've ever been on here, but I promise you that it's actually important. Because in the wake of the Twitter files dropping, and if you haven't seen our coverage of the Twitter files, you can check up here. I know for a fact one of the editors will 100% put the card here where you can watch our reaction to that and in the breakdown of what actually happened there. In the wake of that, Donald Trump has been, lurking in the shadows, and he finally decided to come out with something quite interesting, I guess I'll say, and quite worrisome at the same time, but not unexpected coming from this guy. Let's hop over to Truth Social and let's see what he said earlier today. So, with the revelations of a massive, widespread fraud and deception in working closely with big tech companies, the DNC and Democrat Party, do you throw the presidential election results of 2020 out and declare the rightful winner? Or do you have a new election? So, this is him, once again, still, to this very day, still talking about how he actually won the 2020 election. He can't stop. He can't stop himself. At this point, it may be like a symptom of an underlying medical condition. I have no clue what's going on. But even while he's running for a new election, he's still talking about the old election. It's wild to me. And if this is the case, bro, if you actually won, why don't you just not run again? And then you just and then you get to hopefully you get just reinstated real. Because you're the real winner, right? They'll just, figure it out or something. I don't know. I don't know. I just think it's just really weird. This isn't even resonating with other Republicans anymore. Even other Republicans don't care about 2020 anymore, but whatever, I guess. A massive fraud of this type and magnitude allows for the termination of all rules, regulations, and articles, even those found in the Constitution. So just in case we're all on the same page of what's happening here, okay? This man has just came out to say that because the Twitter files dropped, he unironically believes that we should cancel all rules, all regulations, all articles in the Constitution so we can just reinstate him as president of the United States once again. Slavery too? We already have slavery too. It's called prison labor. it's already here, brother. Sadly. Also, this is wild to me how like a official tweet by Donald, an official truth. Sorry. It's not a tweet, it's a truth. And see, you can like a truth or you can re-truth a truth. I love it when my truth get re-truthed. It's very nice. It's very good. I love it. Yeah, Jim Crow 2 Electric Boogaloo. This is insane, okay? Just so you know, this is actually just him coming out and saying that he wants a dictatorship. Okay? Let's be honest with ourselves. We all need to be honest with ourselves. This is him actively coming out and saying that we need a dictatorship for us to cancel all rules, laws, regulations, and to terminate the Constitution because the election that we wanted didn't go the way that we wanted to. I'm sorry. Nobody cares. Nobody really cares about the Hunter Biden story. Okay, if what was standing between you and being president is some people seeing Hunter Biden's cock, then honestly, you weren't running that good of a campaign to begin with. All right, I'm sorry. And if you think I'm overreacting when I say that it's just pictures of Hunter Biden's cock, take a look at this. Okay, remember when we went over this and we went to go look at these links where I read this out. Okay, more to review from the Biden team. Then they replied back, handled these. These links here were actively archived when they were made, okay? Even though these tweets are gone, these are the full links to these tweets. And it's pretty easy to find the archive. Now, I'm not going to show you because I don't want to get banned. But what people were able to figure out is that they were archived, and we were able to see what was actually taken down and what the Biden team wanted to take down. And what it was nudes of Hunter Biden. It was his penis. It was his cock and balls. That's what it was. It was his actual cock and balls. His big flopper. All right. It was him smoking crack out of his foreskin. I'm joking. It wasn't that, as far as I know, or at least I didn't see that one. But it was what they were actually sharing around were stolen nudes, revenge porn of a soon-to-be politician's son. All right, and I have to tell you, I think that's disgusting. And what's almost, and listen, I don't want to be like almost as disgusting. We're not going to do like a oppression Olympics here. But what's also disgusting is the idea that because people weren't able to see his cock, is that we need to pause everything, pause the Constitution, pause rules, laws, and regulations, and then just do whatever you want. It's disgusting. And obviously, this puts Republicans in a new horrible bind. It makes them look absolutely terrible. But here's some Republicans talking about it, and we can just touch on what they have to say here.
He has no ability to suspend the Constitution. Secondly,
but he says he's for it.
Well, you know, he says a lot of things but that doesn't mean that it's ever going to happen. So you got to accept exact fact from fantasy. And
what the is happening? Hey, listen, the guy who you supported for running for president says he wants to get rid of the Constitution, terminate the Constitution so he can do whatever he wants. Well, I mean, like, he says a lot of things. I mean, you know, I like, if he said that he was going to kill me, I'd be like, okay, but like, try, I guess. Like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Donald Trump comes out and says that his first act as president is going to be to bomb orphanages. Hey, listen, the likelihood of him getting enough C4 to bomb all orphanages is pretty low. So you got to separate fact from fiction. The only thing that we need to separate fact from fiction from is your reality, which is fiction, and the facts that the guy who's running for president on your team is insane and maybe even should be put in prison. Okay. He's a danger to himself and society. It's horrible. This is disgusting. Trump actively hurting the Republican Party. It feels like they've learned. Remember when we were talking earlier before the 2022 election happened? Remember how we were talking? And basically I said that the Republicans have gone completely off the deep end with their ideas being that the left has gone so far to the left, and that's why people don't like them. And so what this means is that people want you to go further to the right, and that's how you meet your average human being, is that they're way further to the right than even your average than even like the normie Republican Party is. That's what a lot of like people have been saying. That's what a lot of like talking heads have been saying to Republicans, is that, oh, you guys just need to go more right. You guys just need to go further right. That's what people want. The left is too far left. So if you just go more right, then everything's going to be fine. Because that's what people really want, right? No, it's not. It's them in their little bubble. And this is why it was so funny when like Charlie Kirk and friends came out and they were thinking after the election, after their massive election losses, because let me remind you, Charlie Kirk was basically like trying to do everything in Arizona, and he supported and personally helped fund almost every single statewide Republican. But almost every single statewide Republican lost. The only Republican that won the election statewide in Arizona was the Republican who wanted to be the Secretary of Education, and that was it. So like, oh my bad, sorry, the treasurer. I think that was it. I think it's the treasurer and the Secretary of Education, and those were the two. And so like the Secretary of State and the governorship and all of that type of stuff, like the election boards, the supervisors, all of them, all statewide positions outside of those went to Democrats, and they were just sitting there for a moment being like, man, did we up? They were like, were we wrong? And for a moment they were like, remember there for just like an instant, just like a flash, blink and you'll miss it. They were thinking, you know, are we the baddies? Did people actually not want to go further right? Just they had like a second of clarity. But no matter what, when it comes to these people, a second of clarity only lasts for that long, simply a second. And now they're back onto the Trump train, and they're back onto the idea that, oh, it's okay, we'll just get through it, and we don't have to stand up to Trump or anything, because listen, the likelihood of him blowing up the Constitution is low. So, who cares? You can't treat these things like this. The more restraint you give this person, the more they're going to feel like they can do whatever they want. And that's what he feels like, that he can do whatever he wants. He's running for president again. He wants to overturn the Constitution just entirely, simply because we weren't able to see Hunter Biden's penis. And I don't want to see it. Your average person doesn't want to see Hunter Biden's cock, okay? I don't care how many times you send it to me. I don't care how many times you want to make it a big story. I don't care. These conservatives are literally on Hunter Biden's dick more than the prostitutes he purchased the time of. Okay? Even they weren't about his dick the same way these guys are. It's wild. And they were being paid.
Fantasy is that we're going to suspend the Constitution and go backwards. We're moving forward, and we're going to continue to move forward as a Republican majority and as a Republican conference.
The Constitution is set for a reason. To protect the rights of every American. And so I certainly don't endorse that language or that sentiment. I think the question for everyone is how we move forward. I ran for Congress to address the challenges that we're facing and be forward-looking. Frankly, I think people are tired of looking backwards. I think people are tired of discussing the grievances of prior elections, and they want to know what we're going to do to address the challenges. And I think the former president would be well advised to focus on the future.
What do you mean, speak for yourself? Were you trying to see Hunter Biden's cock? You get out of here. I think I've seen enough images of Hunter Biden, okay? I've seen him arguing about crack with like your friendly neighborhood prostitute. And you know what? I mean, do your thing. I don't care. Your friendly neighborhood escort. I mean, do your thing. I don't care. It's just, what the hell? I'm a single issue voter, and my issue is Hunter Biden's nutsack. Yeah, okay, all right. You know what? Do you do like a nutsack reading? You take you can build. Are there enough images of Hunter Biden's nutsack out there for us to build like a 3D model of his balls? And so now you can do like wrinkle reading. Yeah, you can do wrinkle reading of his nutsack to be able to tell if it's going to be a mild or harsh winter. It's possible. It's definitely possible.
If he is going to run for president again.
Well, I first of all, I vehemently disagree.
A POV, you're struggling really hard. Wait a second.
Well, first of all, I vehemently.
Hey, so the guy who's running for so the guy who's going to win the nomination for your party for beating Joe Biden in 2022 just said that we should terminate the Constitution. What do you think?
First of all, I vehemently disagree with the statement that Trump has made. Trump has made 1,000 statements in which I disagree. There is a political process that has to go forward before anybody
constitutional conservatives are pretty clear about where they value the Constitution.
Right, exactly. But
is there any scenario with suspending the Constitution?
You do get to pick the questions, but I do get to pick my answer.
I know. I'm trying to get you to answer the question I'm asking.
There is a political process that has to go forward before anybody's a front runner or anybody is even the candidate for the party. And
do you
I
condemn
think
him saying something like that?
Absolutely. And I believe, answering your question, that people certainly are going to take into consideration a statement like this as they evaluate a candidate.
It's so over. Remember when the other day I said it's over? It is once again over. I don't know how many times it's going to be over, but I will say that just this week, 2 times we've been able to say that it's over. And I will say that it is definitely over. It's over, number 2. There is no way that they're going to be able to recover from this, all right? I'm sorry. It's just gone too far. It's just gone too far. These conservatives are out here, bending backwards to do everything not to anger Donald Trump and still stick to any like semblance of morals. Remember, yeah, it is true. The whole idea of the constitutional conservative, like there's not much more that we care about in this world than the like dusty piece of paper written back in the 1700s. Okay, we love the Constitution. We read the Constitution exactly how it's written. We read the diaries where like Jefferson and like everybody were sitting in their beds covered in slave blood, cotton, kicking up their little feet as they're writing by candlelight in how they want the country to be ran. Like they spend all day and all night thinking about it, and then the second that their guy literally says just stop the Constitution because I lost the election, it's all well I mean he can't like actually do it, so like who cares? It doesn't matter whether he can or can't, and honestly if he gets the ability to, he would. That's the bad thing about it, is that we know now that if he had the ability to, he would. And I think that should 100% disqualify you from being able to run as president. I'm sorry. It should. That's not something that you should ever want to do. You can even say like passing them, even like the idea of passing like an insane amendment is wild, but like that's still working within the bounds of the Constitution. Just say stop the Constitution and let's just do whatever we want is genuinely insane. This guy is out of his mind. He's out of his mind. And even Cheney, who's on the way out, who once again, if you remember, Liz Cheney, who lost her seat in Wyoming by, I think, what was it, 50 points, 40 points? It was like 60 points or something. Like she lost her reelection bid by like 10 to 90. It was like it was really bad. But like her now being untethered from your normie Republican politics has allowed her to be like, yeah, you're an enemy to the Constitution. I would even go even further than say enemy of the Constitution. I would say that Donald Trump is actually, as he tried to call the media, the enemy of the people. He is really the enemy of the people. He genuinely is, because the Constitution is the people, okay? And like, I'm not here some sort of like massive Constitution stan. I think like these things only go as far as they serve a purpose to make our society better. And once they stop doing that, then we should just change them and make them better so our society can become better. But like the idea of like any sort of constitutional conservative sitting here and saying that this is reasonable or not like outwardly like throwing shit around and going crazy it's ridiculous. I'm going to say this. It is 100% ridiculous. Okay. You have no beliefs. You don't believe anything besides power and money. That's it. Because they'll get on us they'll get on like the left for somebody being banned off of YouTube for like saying that they want to kill like minorities because they're like gigapedophiles or something. Like everybody who's not me is a pedophile, all right? And they'll get banned off of YouTube, and then they'll like spend all day and all night crying about how the Constitution is being like bodied. And now the guy is literally coming out and saying, because I couldn't see my political opponent's son's penis means that we need to throw away the Constitution, is not something worthy of your like absolutely full-throated condemnation. Is wild. It's very stupid. But once again, it's over. Very funny. And every single day, the Conservative Party keeps getting worse. I honestly predicted that we'd see at least something change because they've gone like too far now, right? It's harder for them to be able to actually win moving into the future if they keep on this path. I honestly thought that this would be a kick up to like make something change a little bit. It seems like the further we've moved away from the election, the more they've already forgotten about getting their ass beat, and the more they're not only reverting back to how they acted pre-election, but they're actually becoming worse. Actively becoming worse. I mean, if Daddy DeSantis said it, they'd be all for it. Here's the thing is that like some polls have kind of come out to show that a lot of support that Donald Trump had lost over like him not being in the election, he's actually gained back. And so at this moment in time, actually, I think he's winning by like 20, 30 points on DeSantis in your average poll. So like even like at this moment in time, I'm not even sure if DeSantis would even beat Trump. He's still got his grip on the party and they're still crazy. Weird stuff. But hey, listen, if it means they lose, that's a W for us. Hey, that's a W for us, baby. Oh, sorry. I didn't see you there. If you're enjoying the content, hit the subscribe button. If you don't, it'll make Boo very sad. I know a bunch of you who are watching are not subscribed. Join the frenzy. You won't regret it. Thank you, Boo.